Good afternoon, everybody, and thanks for giving me the time to talk with you this afternoon. So I've got no slides, so I'm just going to talk. And I thought the best way of starting off really just to introduce who I am. So John Cronin, I'm the chairman of Science Technology, and I do have something in common with everyone in India. And we talk about and started off about the unequal society. Well, I've experienced the unequal society as both my parents from Ireland, and secondly, they were farmers from Ireland. So having an Irish heritage, as you know, Ireland was governed by the British. So we've experienced an unequal society in Ireland. And my father then went to England to build the roads of England. As you're a farmer, you use your hands. And what I've done then in the last 30 years is be in technology businesses. 15 of those have been in the telecommunications world, and 15 has been in different technologies. I actually run a company called Azure Solutions, and having worked in India for the last 10 years, I sold a company, a revenue assurance company, to Subex in Bangalore that actually does exactly what you need to do in the power utility industry of revenue assurance. So we talk about demand, we talk about smart grids, smart metering. This is all about revenue assurance. So that's identifying who spent the electricity, who's using the electricity, billing them and collecting the cash, getting that cash, putting it back into the investment for the transmission and generation of more electricity. As Reggie said, getting everyone in India connected and keep the lights on as you go forward. So the last 5 years, Cyan has been here talking with the regulators, talking with the government. We've built up a team under Shiv Kushak, who's over there on my left. We've got people in Bangalore, Mumbai, Delhi, local people working to help push forward what I see as the next revolution. So it was talked about at this conference that telecommunications really took off. And you yourselves here really grasped this and really made it happen. So I see that as an explosion of learning that has happened in the telecom side, which I actually in parallel see the power industry now at the thresholds in India of doing something fantastic. Everybody in this room is accountable and responsible to make that happen for the consumer. And we all know through the smart grid roadmap, you want to go from 230 gigawatts to 900 gigawatts of power in X number of years. That's a tremendous goal to go for. Part of the smart grid roadmap actually says that by 2023, you actually want 130 million smart meters installed. 130 million. How many today? Very few. What we all need to do is think about how we're going to accelerate, how we're going to make this happen, and why do we want to do it? Well, actually, you're losing $32 billion. $32 billion is lost through technical issues and commercial issues. 16 billion of that is stolen every year. So with smart grid, smart meters, you'll be able to identify who's tampering with the meter remotely. You'll be able to see what happens, send a man in a van to that meter to see if it's an accident or it's theft. You'll be able to then disconnect it remotely if you want to and reconnect it once you're satisfied that it's a genuine case. Yesterday also was talked about, and Mr. Gopal Saxon, he was looking about access, availability and affordability. And that really is what we're about, offering the consumers that. But I've got some requests, really suggestions from me for the audience here to consider. Some are for the government, state and national, some are for the regulators, some are for the utilities. Just 5 requests to actually push this agenda forward, and that is, first of all, remove for the distribution companies the constraints that they're on at the moment, make it open-ended, to actually let them make the decision that they're not penalised by implementing smart metering. Let them sort out the theft, let them sort out the losses, and really make this happen to get that extra generation out for them. I then asked the national and state governments to consider, as the European Union did for Ireland, and that's how they got to the Celtic Tiger explosion in Ireland with the grants from the EU, but to give grants to the distribution companies, the utilities, the power industry, to make the smart grids happen, because you're going to recover that money in a very short space of time by getting rid of the losses and getting rid of the theft that occurs today. Something then that I think that the regulators can do and stipulate right from Monday when you go back to the offices, and that is every single static tender that comes out for static meters, tenders for static meters, instead of going for static meters, have 25% of those tenders put out for smart metering. That's a decision that people in this room can make to push this forward to make it happen. And I know that the meter manufacturers in India have got really a powerful lobby, but I've also got a solution about the cost. We at Scion have actually developed a low-cost, standardized retrofit design for a meter. And actually, you can get this meter manufactured and made here in India, so it creates more jobs. And this low-cost meter will only cost 1,200 rupees. So 1,200 rupees to me is affordable to get a smart meter installed with a remote disconnect. Unlike some of the costs that I've seen today, people are asking for 8,000 rupees for a smart meter. Well, who's making the money here? So if somebody wants to take this up, I'm happy to pass on a reference design to get these meters manufactured here and push forward using sub-gigahertz radio network to make it happen, which is quicker than having to dig up the roads and put fibre in to make it happen. And if you're not happy then that you want to have a low-cost meter, we as Scion have also got a retrofit product that sits alongside existing meters, and it will make those existing meters smart. And that can happen, and remotely you'll be able to see and control and measure the energy that's going out. Once you've got that, the low demand that Chris talked about, you can then manage with the consumer two-way communication and encourage them to use the washing machine and the fridge in the afternoon or whenever, and not use it at peak times. So you really need smart metering and smart grid to make it happen in terms of the demand and share that load across the piece. I'll just leave you with the thought then of, let's keep the lights on, let's have the consumers having electricity for all. Thank you.